He's so quiet for me. I don't understand.
So I got
I want to
MSL.
Are we sure that's not? No, I've never. Oh, mercy. Are you sure we can make something out of it? I sure hope we can make something out of it. Hi, everybody. I'm Darman.
Hi, Darman. I'm
Prepubescent Darman.
Dad.
It sounds like.
Welcome, everybody, to the CrossForge Gaming Podcast. The wonderful bunch of buckets. We've got Polybius.
Good morning, folks, from live and sunny Mexico, the glorious land south of the border.
OlDanMack.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another riveting tale of OlDanMack, Darman, and Polybius.
It's Severus Snape. I can't believe it. I'm starstruck.
Thank you
Alan
for joining
Rickman.
us today.
What does your voicemail sound like, Alan Rickman?
What is a voicemail, Potter?
I don't know. What
This
page should I
dude.
turn to, sir?
394.
Great.
I got all 7 books, and there's only like 5 pages in each of them. You're gonna have to specify.
Alrighty. Today is July the 26th. It's
Yeah,
a
you got July this
beautiful-
time.
I got
Wow.
July
Beautiful.
this time.
Oh, he grows
I'm
up
at
so
the right
fast.
time.
miracles.
It's a
I can do
miracle.
I can do all things.
Through Christ who strengtheneth me. Amen. Can I get an amen?
Why can't we get an A woman? Or is that
Why?
not
Why do
proper
we
Greek?
even have to put genders on it? It should just be a person.
Amorphous?
Amorphous blob.
Oh, wow.
Something needs to be checked here, and I'm not sure what it is.
Probably all of us.
Probably your attitude.
Yo, my attitude has not been good all day. Story time.
Here we go.
Yeah, just right into it, right off the get. I just have not been feeling good today. I don't know if I ate something wrong, didn't eat something, not enough water, don't know what it is, but I definitely passed out on my couch for 2 hours, and I'm Grumpy McGrumperson.
That's understandable. I feel that.
Yeah, my back hurts and everything. You know, if I had to probably pin it on something, it's the fact that I worked 50 hours this last week on top of trying to do streaming. I don't know, it's for a lot of people that's nothing, but like for me, 50 hours a week on top of spending 30 minutes on the bus both ways, you know, by the time you get home, you don't want to cook. You don't want to do anything. You just want to vibe, maybe relax a little, kiss your wife, and then go to sleep. That's
I
it.
feel that. I mean,
Gotta
most
get
people...
a nice nightcap before you go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to Alan Rickman. He knows what he's talking about. Most people, after working a solid 40-hour week, don't want to put in an extra 45 unless you're either a practicing musician or I don't know what people do with the extra 45 hours in their week. I just use mine to sleep. Because at
What
the
do you
end
mean
of the day...
extra 45 hours? I'm mucho confused.
You know, most people work a 40-hour week as a full-time job. And I think there's like, 45
Mhm.
left over? Like late nights, all-nighters, drink the Monster Energy drink and stay up all night.
I mean, you've got like an extra 16 a day times 5 is 80.
okay,
but
well,
I
you
guess
gotta
if you're
sleep for some of it.
So I guess if you
You're right,
yeah,
you're
I was
right,
gonna say, if
okay.
you cut that in half, you got
Sleep.
another 40.
Right, yeah. But then you get the weekend, so.
Yeah. Although I must say I am an insomniac, so I could probably pump that extra 45 up a little bit, you know? Just by
Them's
proxy.
rookie numbers.
Yeah, rookie numbers, boy. What do you mean? 40 hours a week or extra 45 after work? Nah, 60. I already work 60 hours a week. Let's do it more. Double it. Slap the 2 times the
Double
point
it.
multiplier. Yeah. It's a good time.
Oh,
But I do agree, Darman. most of the time after coming home, you don't want to do nothing, and it's totally understandable.
The only highlight to this last week has been I've been able to revisit a childhood franchise that has given me much joy. On July the 17th, Paper Mario The Origami King came out, and my sister-in-law was so kind enough to bring home a copy from GameStop and let us play for a few days while she went
Nice. Why don't
away
you
from the house.
Why don't you tell us about that? Because I've never played Paper Mario, which from the few videos I've seen, I'm missing out. But I remember you talking about it, and I'm interested to hear from your voice what it was.
So Paper Mario was on my top games of all time personal list because of its clever writing, its clever combat system, its basic use of math, no crazy hundreds place, damage. Everything was in metrics of 1, 3, and 5. So
Nice.
it was really great as a 7-year-old who didn't know how to read. That's a joke. You can laugh at that.
Hey, I'm 26. I still can't read. No shame here.
Jared.
Who's Jared?
Who's Jared?
Jared, 19, and he never learned how to freaking read.
What are we talking about? Is this in
I'm
Paper
very
Mario?
That's a TikTok. That's a TikTok thing. At any rate, so Paper Mario.
Boo, TikTok.
Shut up. You love TikTok.
Only if it's the Kesha song.
Good save. All right. Paper Mario was on my top 10 video games of all time list for all of these reasons. And the origami...
Before I leave for
Sir?
tea with a bottle of Jack. No leave for the night. Ain't coming back.
Are you done?
You may proceed in the regular fashion.
So I grew up and I played the game on the Nintendo 64. There was a sequel on the GameCube called The Thousand Year Door, and it followed the same formula, but with a couple of really cool additions. And then they screwed everything up when they got to the Wii. They've been making a Paper Mario game for each console, and they screwed up the Wii, the 3DS, and the Wii U. When they got to the Wii, they turned an RPG into a pseudo RPG platformer. You leveled up and everything, but the game was all platforming. It was no take turn thinking about your combat. It was just kind of run through the world as Bowser and just burn everything. Maybe occasionally switch to Mario so that you can turn everything sideways and play with geometry. But other than
that kind of
that,
still sounds cool. Getting to just go and just pummel stuff down. as
yeah,
Bowser
I
with
mean,
fire.
yeah. So that was that game. Then they made Sticker Star, which came out in 2013 on the 3DS, and was widely regarded as garbage because it kind of used a system of scarcity that didn't nail down the idea of what scarcity was. Like, every attack had to be purchased like as a card or as a sticker, and you had to apply the stickers to your combat. The Color Splash game on the Wii U had the same issue. They tried going with this idea of scarcity. You had to mix the different ink colors in your combat, and it just didn't feel good. They took out the feel-good parts of combat for very gimmicky things that didn't make sense. There was also a huge push to add ultra realism to some of the enemies. Like in Color Splash, you could summon these really weird hyper realistic 3D models of, like, there's one that's like what do you call those, the cats, the money cats from
Cash
Asia?
cows?
No. It's like a porcelain cat that you put the coin in it, and it's like a piggy bank, but or like one of those Buddha statues.
I think it's like the Tagami cat. What?
Okay.
My Naki Neko is what seems to be the name. The Neko is Naki.
Wow.
Wow.
Now there's something I can vibe with. There we go.
So, you would in California.
You right.
Classic West Coast. Wow.
West Coast, West Coast, we got some
So-
wacky stuff.
So they really screwed up the Mario formula for about 10 years, and the Origami King has its own unique take on the combat formula, but I feel like it's a lot closer to the original. So they've done away with the kind of take-turn combat. It is still taking turns, but now everything's a puzzle in the form of concentric circles that you line your opponents up on, and then you go at them. But then they switch up the formula. Instead of you being on the inside of the rings, lining up your enemies, you get to a boss fight, and then you have to line up the rings so you can get to the boss who's at the center of the ring.
There we go.
Interesting.
It is. If you guys are interested, my wife is playing through the game on her own save, and she's enjoying it a lot. She never played the old games, but she thinks that the environments and the aesthetic is totally cute. I posted a whole bunch of screenshots and stuff to Facebook too. I like the origami aesthetic. I hate the new partner. I hate the lack of urgency to save Peach. Everything just feels a little too carefree, but I got to a point where somebody died.
I mean, that's like classic RPG though, right? Like you've got the main story quest and you're just like, nah, I'm gonna do these other things first.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to make sure I clear all the goblins from the cave.
Exactly.
You know,
Peach has gotten herself into quite a few many numbers of debacles and pickles and somehow survived through all of them.
That's true.
So just leave her there for a couple extra hours. What's that going to be to, eternity in a dungeon?
Her name
Sure.
is Mrs. Stockholm Syndrome.
Uh-oh.
At any rate, without getting too much into this week's topic, that is my story.
Man.
That has taken 15 minutes to get through. I'm sorry.
So what is your overall score of it? Like, instead of IGN, we have, like, DGN or something. Darman Game Reviews.
Darman Game
Yes.
Network.
There we go.
DGRs.
Do you think that it's a good do you think it's a good continuation of the series, or did they repeat some of the previous mistakes?
So where the original Paper Mario, I put it at a 9, right? And I also put the sequel, Thousand Year Door, also at a 9. I put this game at a 7, where the other games are in the 4s and 5s.
Okay.
So
it's getting better.
It certainly was better than the other games, the last 3 games. But you can always have nitpicks, but I'm really enjoying the sound design. There's a couple of things that have changed because Intelligent Studios, the original creators of the franchise, or the spin-off Subspace, I don't know. The people who originally worked on Paper Mario did really cool things to, like, give Toads unique personalities. Like, Toads have hair. Well, according to Nintendo brand specifications, Toads do not have gender. Toads do not have hair.
I thought you were gonna say, "Oh, it turns out they got a whole bunch of hair." I was like,
underneath
"No."
that hat, man.
Yeah, underneath the hat.
The toadstool caps, yeah.
Oh my god.
No, because that made too much sense. But yeah. So in this game, they've added the same problem as Breath of the Wild had with Koroks, except the Koroks are toads. So there's toads
900 of them, and they just
There
give
is
you their
quite-
poop.
They toss a coin to the Witcher.
Oh wow! Because
Oh,
they're in
my.
the Valley o' Plenty, or
I suppose, because every time I bop one on the head and unfold it, because the part of the game's whole concept is that the Origami King has screwed up everything. He's folding everything up into origami, which is not normal for a paper world.
Exactly.
He comes from like an alternate dimension.
I
It's
was
a
going
little
to say,
meta, sure. Yeah.
I would hate to be folded into origami. I've never been good at yoga, and needless to say, if I were to become a origami swan, I would be quite crunched up about it.
Right? It would be a little bit,
A little bit ouch, as they say.
a little bit of
Latin.
ouch. A little bit of a contortionist trick.
Pop some oof on into that, and you got yourself a not fun hospital visit.
No joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Disclaimer here, do not fold yourself into an origami swan. Just saying. I'm not speaking from experience, but I'm pretty sure we all know a guy.
If you're going to fold yourself into an origami swan, get 999 of your best friends to also fold themselves into origami swans, and then the Japanese goddess will come down and grant you a favor.
There you go. That's the only exception to folding yourself into a swan, is if you're going to do it, make sure you can at least wish that y'all come out of it unharmed.
So that's my story time. I don't know who wants to go next. Polly?
Sure. I had a pretty wild week. I've been working for the past about a month or so. But what was it? Wednesday, I go into work and my boss looks at me and says, "Jonah, there's going to be nothing to do tomorrow. You want the day off?" I said, "Well, why not? I'll take a day off, sure." And so that same day I message two of my friends and I say, "Hey, tomorrow's my day off, Ferris Bueller style. What y'all doing?"
I don't remember getting that text message.
Yeah, California friends. Sorry, West Coast got to stick together in these times of crisis and universal brouhaha. So I'm.
What if I tell you that I have water?
Oh.
There's some local towns that would really like to hear that right now. The aqueduct one a little bit.
I give my
whack,
pee-pee for free.
Yeah, exactly. Does it come in a glass or plastic bottle? Because that's really glass bottle.
that's a deal breaker?
Comes through the pipes of a shower.
Well, that's understandable. But yeah, what was I saying? So I hit up a couple of my friends.
Ferris Bueller style.
Yeah, and I said, "Hey, what y'all doing tomorrow?" One of them says, "Get off work at 2." And the other one's like, "We get off at 3." And so I drive over to central Southern California, which is still the desert, but almost Southern California. For those of you who are in California and know all the places, I'm not telling you the name of it because you're not following me. Yeah. So I drive down there and I pull up to the park where I'm visiting with my friend, and they're like, "Oh, we're bringing some other people." And I said, "Well, heck yeah." So, I mean, all the people that are there are my friends. It's a missions base, and they're all stuck there at the moment due to, as they say, present circumstances. And not just like 2-3 of my friends comes out, like the whole team comes out, and just we're all sitting at the park 6 feet apart and talking. Like, shoot, I gotta see my closest friend that day. And
Aww.
a bunch of the other schmoes that showed up too. But yeah, the other people, they're pretty alright. But I gotta see my friend. That's why I showed up. And of course, if any of my friends are to listen to this, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the other one.
Make sure they don't get too comfortable with you.
Exactly. It's consistent pointing in a circle. But the circle does have a finite end of about 30 people. But yeah, so after that, I went up the mountain, one of the mountains. Somehow California has a lot of mountains. And I spent from about 5 o'clock to about 10 o'clock just hanging out, eating pizza with one of my buddies, playing music, and just hanging out and having a good time. That's what I did Thursday. That was one day, folks.
Wow.
I slept in that day. But also, in the meantime, I have continued down my Bethesda rabbit hole of absurdity. I caved. I succumbed to sin, and I bought Fallout 76 and it's 2 DLC. And
No, Polly.
no, I must say, it's still broken, but
Here I was thinking you were gonna actually enjoy it. It's not
I
Brotherhood
was.
of Steel, but
it's thank God. But I've been playing it, and I'm like, this is enjoyable enough. It's kind of just like Fallout 4, but multiplayer, which was my initial thought when I first saw the advert for it, all those blessed years ago before the insanity that followed its release. But I picked it up. Took about 12 hours to install onto my little laptop, and I can run it at about a solid 20 to 30 frames, and it's a pretty fun game. It's like one of those games that you pick up when you're bored and don't want to play anything else. And I'm like, all right, I can say I played Fallout 76, wasn't too disappointed. There are some times where the enemy AI simply ceases, and they are simply static statues. You kill them, and when they die, the collision still hasn't fixed itself, and so you just have a dead statue standing wherever you have slain your foe.
oh,
But yeah, it's
wow.
surprisingly intuitive for such a strange multiplayer system. Every time I join up, it's like with a new world, but I still have all the level progression and progress and all the other stuff, and the map, each map changes. You're on a different world with different people, but it's also exactly the same. You go back to a place you were, it remembers where you were. I was quite surprised. I remember playing it for the first couple hours at like 3 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep, and just signing out and signing in the next day and wondering, am I going to have to start over again? Because if so, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this. But no, popped me right back off where I was. I said, wow, wasn't that something?
Wow.
Bethesda, you may have made a broken game, but I mean, at least I don't have to restart every time I join a new world.
What do you mean may have? Every game they come out with is broken.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking to myself, I expect a solid amount of Bethesda charm of non-functioning when I booted up Fallout 76, and I experienced a brokenness of Bethesda that I had not previously experienced before, such as the enemies not doing their thing and becoming an enemy. But it seems that they have fixed a portion of the bugs that made the game unplayable, such as the game not loading, or not working, or the graphics not working, or nothing working really. But
Do you think that Fallout 76 and its moderate success within your own world is going to lead you to go to Elder Scrolls Online?
To ESO? I'm not sure. I have ESO. If I ever get bored enough, I might pull it out again. I mean, Lord knows I quite enjoy the Elder Scrolls series.
Which universe do you like more?
I don't know. I'm tied when it comes to the Bethesda games between Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Oblivion. Like, I love those three quite equally. I'm like,
Right.
well, what am I supposed to do? Like, man.
If
so
only there was a post-apocalyptic world where you could control dragons and use magic, you know?
You know, it's a shame that Sony guffed that game so hard.
What are you talking about, BioShock?
No. The
The Last of Us, don't you know?
Not
yes.
going there yet. Not going there yet. No, there was a launch game for the PlayStation 3 that was basically Dragon Riders and magic, but the problem is that it was exclusively designed poorly, mind you, with the 6-axis motion controls in mind. So you would flip your controller whichever way to pull the dragon, but it was a horrible mess. I couldn't even tell you what the name of the game was.
Sony likes to just tuck those underneath the rug. No, we didn't do that.
They're really good about that. They are really good about shoving things down the memory hole.
Kind of like Big Brother and the department, or what is it, the Ministry of Information? Just up the chute, send it to the fire. This never happened, and it didn't exist. But
I don't get that reference.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll send you the book. I actually have a copy of 1984 up on my bookshelf.
Oh, is that what it's from? 1984?
Yeah.
Yeah, Orwell.
George Orwell.
I really want to read that book.
It's pretty good. You have to read it in conjecture with I don't know if conjecture is the right word. With
Context?
no, 1984 and Brave New World.
Okay.
I feel like those two books go fantastic together.
Conjunction. Yeah.
What about East of Eden? Isn't that kind of up the same alley?
I'm not sure. I haven't read that one.
Okay.
And another one that I hear goes good with it is Fahrenheit Digits. I don't remember.
451.
451. There we go. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, I was like Fahrenheit Digits? I don't know about that one.
What number is it?
Yeah, Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, apparently that one goes great with it, but I don't know. I went through a short period where I said, I want to read these kind of books for a minute. And so I picked up 3 books. 1984, Atlas Shrugged, and Brave New World. And I was like, wow, these are some pretty alright stories. They tell a story. I somehow managed to read through the whole things. And at the end of it, I come out with my vote. I would rather have the world go more into the direction of a Brave New World, where you can have, what in the book they had? Sex, drugs, and really crappy jazz. And I think that sounds like a pretty good post-apocalyptic future. But I think we're going... China, at least, is leaning more toward 1984. And Lord knows where the rest of us are going.
I want the Hunger Games to come. That needs to be the next thing.
We have to start off with the Purge first, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Nationwide.
I feel like that, yeah.
Apocalyptia. Then everyone's like, all right, so we still want to do this, but we also don't want to die every year. So let's condense it. Let's
just make the poor people's children do it. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's just section up everyone. You know, we'll buy some land in the Midwest. All that farmland that people used to make food. Nah, nobody needs that. We're going to put a stadium there. Just any stadium. Like a jungle stadium. People can go in there and whack each other with sticks. Like Minecraft Hunger Games.
Wait a minute. What you're describing to me is the Interest Bank Arena in Wichita and the Wichita Thunder hockey team.
You want to earn that minus one more time? Kind of cut out there.
No, the Wichita Thunder is the hockey team from where I'm from in the Midwest. And they literally built a whole arena right in the middle of town where nobody wanted it. In a part of town where they had no parking plan, nothing. They were like, yeah, that just seems like a great idea. Throw it in there. $20 million? That's all it takes? Man.
Like playing The Sims? I don't know what I'm going to put on
Then there
this
is also literally the Kansas Coliseum. I feel like that's more of an easy transition.
I feel like it's every single stadium, honestly. I feel like we could go throughout entire lives without massive stadiums. But they're like, you know what? Let's build it.
Money.
Where else are we going to play these epic rock concerts and have WWE come through?
True that, man. I went to some pretty awesome concerts at Interest Bank Arena.
Speaking of concerts, like Woodstock was basically just a plank of wood out in the middle of nowhere and millions of people hanging out. So concerts are taken care of pretty easy. You just need to go to a farmer and say, hey, don't plant anything for about 6 months real quick.
Yo, that's asking a lot, pal. That's asking a lot.
You can use the farmland afterward. When it comes to stadiums, you kind of can't. Or actually, you could. You could take the grass in the middle.
Requires a lot of TNT.
Exactly. Or TLC, if you want to just repurpose the grass in the middle and everything.
I don't know,
up
Polly.
above.
You seem to be more familiar and comfortable with the use of TNT.
Yeah, definitely. I've really showed my affinity toward it.
Shameless plug of our Minecraft server. Polly blew up the spawn.
Not
A
the
good
spawn.
section of
They
spawn.
couldn't.
Not the spawn, just outside of spawn.
They couldn't let me into spawn. I tried
It
making
looks
a
like
flying
the moon.
machine. That was a good time. I had a great fun. I'll do it
you can
again
find
someday.
that. You can find that link to the server on our Minecraft Discord channel. You can find the Discord in all of our links, really, in the doobly-doo below. Whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Podbean, wherever you're listening to this, the links will be there. I can't guarantee they'll work. You might have to do a little bit of the copy pasta, but it'll work.
Yeah, somewhere along the lines, if you come join us, join our anarchistic Minecraft server, and you can see the small decimation I caused a couple months ago. And have been
Story
considering doing it again.
time. OlDanMack.
Right?
Yeah, actually, good transition from 1984, even though that seems like that was a while ago now. I was on vacation last week.
Wow, is it really that bad with your wife that you're already comparing it to 1984?
Actually, it would be
She's
more
in
along
the
lines of
other
Brave New
room.
World.
I can't say anything.
Oh, man.
Nah, so we were on vacation. We had 5 days away up in New Hampshire. It was great. Some friends of ours came with us, and just for the weekend, and then my wife and I had a few days afterwards by ourselves. So Saturday we rented a pontoon boat, drove that around, rode the inner tube behind it. It was great fun. Sunday.
Oh, man.
In typical fashion for basically every time we hang out with these people, we were like, you know what we should do? Let's get tattoos. So
Here we go.
that seems to be like our go-to thing to do. We're like, we're bored. Let's just go get needles dug into our skin. So we're calling around looking for tattoo parlors, and it's tough because COVID's a thing and blah blah blah. So we just decided on my friend Josh and I, we're gonna get tattoos. We called this place. We said, hey, we just want to get a couple tattoos from your Flash. For those who are not familiar, Flash is like the drawings that tattoo artists will draw up in their free time, and then usually they just have them available. You go in, they slap it on your thigh or your neck, and then they just go to town.
The thigh?
So the thigh, yeah, man, that probably wouldn't hurt that bad. That's a lot of thick skin.
Oh, and the outside. Okay, that's good. I'm like,
Oh, not the
Ouch.
inside. That would hurt.
Inner
That
thigh?
probably wouldn't feel great.
And who would you even be able to show that off to? Like, for real.
It's
Like,
not,
here,
it's-
let me lift my
tattoos are
damn-
not about showing them off. They're about being cool because you have tattoos. It's like smoking cigarettes. You're cool just because you have it. You don't really need to do it around other people.
I mean, you're right.
So we're like, all right, we're gonna do some Flash. They're like, heck yeah, man, come on in. 2:30, we'll be ready for you. We go in there and we're waiting, and the owner comes up to us and she goes, "Oh, what are you guys looking to do?" And Josh goes, "Well, I think we're just gonna get something from your Flash." And she said, "No, we don't do Flash here.
Oh.
This is a custom tattoo shop. If you
Oh, here
want
we
something,
go.
you can give them some ideas and they'll draw it up for you." And it's like,
Isn't that
sorry that I offended your very purpose in life, but I guess, yeah, we could do that. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
So we sit down and we're looking through stuff, and I was like, I kind of want to get a trumpet on the back of my arm. That would be cool. And Josh is like, I want a casket with a tree coming out of it. I'm like,
Bruh.
cool, man.
Wow,
Let's
very
do it.
what is it? It sounds
symbolic
nice
of
and
life.
symbolic, yeah.
Out of
Yes,
death?
life comes from death. That was his whole thing.
I almost said sentimental, but I was like, that is not the right
I mean,
word.
it definitely could be sentimental.
Yeah.
He's gonna carry that sentiment with him for the rest of his life.
Yes, he is, unless he cuts that thing right off.
Ouch.
One should hope that.
Hannibal Lecter
Muslim.
style.
Yikes.
Or Buffalo
Okay.
Bill.
Oh, right.
There we go.
So
Here we go.
trumpets and caskets, tattoos.
So we're in the tattoo shop, and we're there like a little bit before 2:30, but it's almost 3:45 before the tattoo artist comes to us because he was tattooing other people. I'm like, you really did not plan your time very well. So it was cool. I was chit-chatting with a couple of the artists. We were listening to metal and stuff. It was great. But so finally the kid, I mean, he was a kid. He looked like he was 20 years old. He was like thin and lanky and reeked of weed, so that's always a good sign. And he comes up to Josh and he's like, man, what are we looking to do today? And Josh is like, oh, these are my ideas. You know, he shows them. He's like, oh, man, that's cool. Well, what if instead of a casket, we did like a skull? Yeah, with like spiders coming out of it. And Josh is like, let's not do spiders coming out of it, but I'm cool with the skull idea. And he's like, dope, man. I'll be right back. So we sit there for like another hour and 15 minutes just waiting. And he like the artist checks in with us, you know, every once in a while, and it's cool. While we're there, there's like some triplets getting tattoos, which is like, that's cool. A guy and two girls were getting like triangles overlapping one another, and then depending on what order they came out of the womb, they were having that triangle filled in. So that was cool. You know, we talked to them a little bit. And so finally the tattoo artist comes up to Josh and he's got like the very basic outline of the skull and like the tree roots and limbs coming out of it, but like no detail at all. He's like, all right, man, so this is probably going to take us like 3 hours to do. You sure you want to do this? Because we can do something else. And Josh was like, well, you know, I like it. He's like, yeah, but man, it's just going to take so long. Like, let's do something else. And Josh was just like, all right, I guess I don't get a decision in this. And so he kind of thinks up an idea. He's like, this is my other idea. I want a matchbox that says strikeout in it. And the artist is like, oh, cool, man. Yeah, we could totally do that. We'll have like a burnt up match on the inside. Man, that'd be pretty dope. And he's like, yeah, let's do that. That's cool. So then he goes back. And while we're waiting, this is the 1984 book reference. These girls come in and they're like, oh, I want to get this quote. And it's the quote is, we will meet again in a place where there is no darkness. And I was like, man, that's a really cool quote. I wonder where that's from. I Googled it. Apparently it's from 1984.
Yeah. Now that's it.
Again, I haven't read that book, but it's a cool quote and
some serious foreboding. I'm wondering where they're going with it.
It was, and she put it right above an existing tattoo that was like flowers and stuff. So I'm like, okay, that goes together, sure. And then her friend got her first tattoo with like a bunch of roses and stuff. It's so fun watching people get their first tattoo because they're full of questions and they're like really excited about it, but the chances are it's probably not like an awesome piece that they're about to get. It's probably something very basic, like the triplets. The guy, it was obviously his first tattoo, and he was asking so many questions, and he was like nervous, and he's like, "Oh man, like when did you get your first tattoo? Who's the first tattoo you did?" And they're like answering him. They're like, "This kid, right?" But it's just cool to see people to go through their first tattoo. The girl who got her first tattoo put it on the inside of her arm, and they sat her down. And I said, "Oof, that's gonna hurt," because I have one on the inside of my arm, and it does not feel good, and it was not my first tattoo. So all this is happening while the artist is drawing up Josh's tattoo, and finally he comes up. He's like, "Oh, we got it." So it's like, all right, looks good. So he takes Josh back. He prints out the thing, and Josh is like, I want it like perpendicular to my leg. And he's like, oh, well, what if we did it like angled a little bit? And it's like, yeah, I think that would look cool. And then he just like slaps it parallel to his leg. So it's like,
Oh, come on, guys.
it doesn't look great, but it's fine. So I'm just sitting chit-chatting with the artist and stuff while Josh is getting his tattoo. One of the artists leaves and he's like, all right, man, I got a Twitch stream I got to catch. And I'm like, oh, you're streaming? He's like, yeah, I'm streaming. And then we kind of talked about how he just built his own custom PC and all the hardware he had for that. It's like, that's cool. And then I'm waiting, and it takes the artist like an hour and a half to do this like 3 by 2 inch matchbox thing, and he colors it in and all that. And at this point, it's like 5:30, and I'm like, I don't think it's gonna happen today. And so he gets done. He comes up, and right before he gets done, this other guy comes in, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's got like a appointment or something. And as Josh finishes, and he's coming up to pay, that guy goes back and starts talking to the tattoo artist who was supposed to be working on mine next. And they're talking about like, oh yeah, I need to touch this up and blah, 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 blah. And like, we'll get you sat down right now. And I'm like,
Bro.
excuse me? What?
Chotomate.
And then like as they're talking, the owner of the shop comes up to me. She's like, oh, are you getting a tattoo today? And I was like, well, that's the plan, but we'll see. And she was like, they have this like gumball machine style like turn thing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Where it literally says like you get what you get for $80, which is a pretty good deal for that. And you turn it and you have no idea what's in it. And she's like, oh, you could turn the wheel. And I'm like, can I be perfectly honest with you? I would love to do that, but I'm really just too much of a And she was like, oh, well, you can spin it again for an extra $20. And I said, I'm just going to use that same excuse from the first time, and we're just going to copy and paste it here because I am not that brave. So anyway, finally, Josh gets done, and the tattoo artist takes his money, and then he like starts walking back, and he goes, oh, and he turns around, he goes, hey, man, did you want like a smiley face or something? And I'm just like, Nope, no, thank you. I'm just here for moral support. Appreciate it. Goodbye.
Deuces.
Because he just like
man.
obviously was trying to get out of there, and I was like, I don't want this. Whatever he's gonna put on my body is not gonna look good. So we went to the bar next door, and we saw the tattoo artist walking by like 20 minutes later. So he very obviously just wanted to get out of there.
My poor man. What the heck?
I
Man,
know. I was so upset.
what a ride. But
I
man,
know.
I gotta say, that's a pretty good idea. The Wheel of Misfortune for $80.
Yeah.
Imagine
'Cause
you
there-
get something totally ridiculous, like, oh, you're like, I'm gonna roll this and I'm gonna get like some cool motorcycle skull thing, and what you get is like a leaf. Like, great.
And they said that they didn't make any ridiculous designs and put them in there. But I'm like, sure, but like our definitions of ridiculous are different.
Two different things here.
Right. I'm like, if I can turn it like 3 times and pick one out of those 3, that would be much better.
Man, you flip it and you get like the Nike logo with Adidas typed up underneath it. Like, yeah, this.
Yo.
That would actually be kind of cool.
Man. Well, hey, tell us where it is and we'll go back and we'll see if we can't get that Nike Adidas wrap up, you know?
It's in it's somewhere in New Hampshire. I don't remember the town name. But I believe the title of the shop was 5 Monkeys.
Five
So,
little monkeys.
Shout out to 5 Monkeys. Not 5 little. They're not little. They could be 5 big monkeys. They could be 5
they jumping
average
on the
sized
bed?
monkeys. There was no beds in sight, but that's not to say that they're not doing that, you know. But monkeys weren't in sight either, so they could have been jumping on the bed, and that's why I didn't see them.
It's just like out in the back garden. They're like, yeah, 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. All of them fell off at least once or twice.
You know,
Doctor's
bumped
been over a
heads.
fair few times.
The doctor just sets up shop every weekend. He's like, I'm gonna need to be here anyway.
She's like, here we go.
Oh, here we go again. Round 5. Yeah, that sounds like a good time. Tattoos are definitely a fun time. I remember getting my first one, which is, well, I still have it. Can you imagine?
You don't say.
Yeah. Then I just recently got another one on my back under my shoulder blade, and it hurt like nobody's business. Big
On your
oof.
shoulder blade? No,
Underneath
that's not
it.
that bad. Underneath it might hurt. I have one like on my left shoulder blade, and it's really not bad.
Yeah, it's. I guess I have a low pain tolerance. But I suppose this is story time. So speaking of pain tolerance, we have a topic.
So this week we have another podcast question of the week.
That was a bit weak.
Podcast question of the week.
Alan Rickman, take it away. Oh wait, you just. Oh shoot, he just did.
Mr. Rickman.
What is your favorite game, music, or song?
Is that a Jonathan Colton reference?
It could be. I don't know. Is Still Alive your favorite game song? It's in my
Probably one
top
of them.
10.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of hard not to, honestly. But yeah. So, OlDanMack, you got any favorite video game soundtracks or songs or
Well,
musics
actually,
or
transitioning from the last thing, I have a Zelda tattoo on my right calf from Ocarina of Time.
Can you
And
can you play it?
it's no.
It's still cool anyway.
It's not an ocarina. It's all the medallions. But so yeah, definitely the Zelda music has been huge for me. Growing up, I've played all of the Zelda games, and so just the common theme. It's basically the soundtrack of my life. Out of those, the Gerudo Desert song from Ocarina of Time is my favorite. That there's just something about that music and the way that it's written that I just love. Koji Kondo is the music artist for all the Zelda games, and he or she just does a phenomenal job.
Man, I don't know if video game music is pod safe or not, but if it is, I'll put it quietly in the background as you talk about it. As we talk about our favorite songs. Yeah. Yeah.
All you have to do is just change it so that it's like down a half step, and then it's original content.
Slap it into a minor key. Why does it sound sad?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely understandable. So Legend of Zelda, all the games,
Absolutely.
I dare say, I do agree. They do have some pretty fantabulous soundtracks.
So when Ocarina of Time came out, Koji Kondo said that it was one of his most, or her most, I think it's a guy. I mean, we're just going to say he. It was one of his most challenging tasks because there was so many transitions from different areas. So you've got like the Kokiri Forest, and then you've got just the Hyrule Field, and then you can go to Romani Ranch or Castletown or Kakariko Village, all these places. And so he had to write it in such a way that like at the end of any bar or measure in the song, it had to flow into something else. And so that was something that he found very difficult. And really, I think that challenge was, I mean, he definitely persevered through it and came out like better on the other way because everything flows very well in that whole game, and it's great.
Yeah, I feel like that's a mark of a great sound designer if they can make it flow.
Yeah, the
make the
adaptive music design.
Yeah. I feel if it's choppy or abrupt, unless the music is from Oblivion, where it's choppy and abrupt in the most comedic fashions, it's a bit abrasive to the ears when you're walking through a serene forest and you've got this really heavy orchestraic music in the background making you feel like you're in an action scene.
Yeah.
Not atmosphere.
Suddenly you walk out into the hills, and suddenly you're back in the Shire.
Yeah.
We're going on an adventure.
Oh.
Wake up.
Wake up! Nothing but a better break up. Why'd you leave a kiss up on the table?
Those are not the lyrics, but I appreciate the effort.
You get an A+ for A+. I don't know for what, but I'm giving it to you because victory.
Why do angels deserve to die? That's the question.
I love that. Was that the Meat Puppets? No, I think we're talking about two different songs.
That's Radioactive.
What?
What?
I'm
No? Have you guys watched the music video for Radioactive?
Like
no.
Imagine Dragons?
Yeah.
That's not the song that you were singing, though.
No, it's not. But he
Okay.
mentioned the Meat Puppets.
I just want to be clear, 'cause that's what it sounded like.
No.
I heard, where do something go when they die? And I said, I was thinking of Lake of Fire over here. I'm like, Meat Puppets? Yeah. And he said, Imagine Dragons. Wait a second.
The Pentatonics remade. They covered Radioactive with Lindsey Sterling, and that's a very cool music video.
Really?
Yeah, it's in like a post-apocalyptic, like rundown town. It's very cool. They did a great job.
Very, very pretty.
I might actually have to go check it out. I haven't listened to Imagine Dragons since Night Vision's released. It's been a minute.
Night Visions is my favorite of their albums, but the one with the river and like all of those songs, I don't remember what that one is, but that's a good one.
Why are we talking about Imagine Dragons?
I don't
The
know. We
music
were
community's
talking about.
Don't get us.
Oh, they gon' cancel old Darman.
Listen, if we want the music people to come at us, I can talk about how Nickelback is not a bad band.
I feel like it's just. I feel like it's just a popular thing to say, like, "Oh, Nickelback sucks." I'm like, well, I sure as hell couldn't play like Nickelback, so I can't hate them too bad. They make music, and you know what? Freaking props on them. They did something I haven't, which is released multiple studio albums. But
So OlDanMack.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So OlDanMack went over his music. Polly, what is some of your favorite video game music?
My favorite video game music, man. There's a lot of music and a lot of video games for me that I've found myself with quite a liking to. I think one of my favorite soundtracks of all time was the soundtrack to Portal 2, which they actually released a LP, Aperture Science, Songs to Test By, concluding with the two title songs, Want You Gone, the Ellen McLean mix, and the Jonathan Colton mix following it, ending off the whole thing. But those two songs are fantastic on their own. I feel like we don't even have to talk about them. But the atmosphere of the Portal 2 soundtrack it's something I hadn't heard before at that point in life. And I remember listening to it and just being like, wow, this is real. It made me feel like I was listening to science, if science was a musical algorithm. And it felt good to my
It's almost like it is
soul.
a musical algorithm.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
right?
all the square saws and everything. I remember listening to it for the first time prior to purchasing the game. And yeah, I feel that vibe.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, I didn't expect this, but I'm glad I got it. Yeah, so the Portal soundtracks have definitely been just something fun to listen to. Like,
would you call them instrumental to your musical taste?
Well, I mean, Jonathan Colton, yeah. The songs themselves, I don't know. I don't generally put just soundtracks on my Spotify playlists. Like, what are you listening to? Ah, instrumental. Yeah, okay, understandable, I guess. But no, like usually when I play a game, I like to put on like YouTube videos in the background. But when it came to playing the Portal series, it's a testament when I can listen to the whole soundtrack and not want anything else playing in the background. And that's every time I play the Portal series. Let's see, what other... Oh, sorry about that. What you gonna say?
No, continue.
Oh.
What other games or series?
Let's see. I feel like, needless to say, the Elder Scrolls series. Because when you open up a game and you hear da-da-da, da-da-da, you're like, I know what I'm getting myself into. And you know you're going to have fun, even though the games are generally broken.
Man, the Dovahkiin song from Skyrim is amazing. And a cool thing that they did with that song was that they only had about 10 or 15, a choir of 10 or 15 people, and then they just replicated or duplicated and laid over their tracks so that it sounded like it was this whole huge orchestral, like large group of people singing. Very
they
well
discovered
done.
multi-layering on multi-tracks. They're like, hey, we don't need 100 people. Get the same 5 guys. Just sing it 50 times. It'll sound freaking fantastic.
Jeremy Soule was
what a
quite
talented
the composer.
soul. He's a talented soul. Amen.
What about you, Darman?
Well,
you mentioned Paper Mario earlier. Is that going to be on here?
So, I feel like I like different video game music for different things. There's something that really struck me with what Polly said just a minute ago with background music or sounds that I just want to listen to for the sake of playing the music. Like, I don't even want to play the game. I just want this sound. There are a couple of tracks from Breath of the Wild that are... The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Wii U and Switch. That the tracks are so hauntingly gorgeous. Just this gentle piano playing over the sound of rain. It's something that people have gone through. They've went through different locations and recorded all the music with the rain track from the game. And there's like a 1 hour mix. And I will put that on and I will sleep like a child.
That sounds great. You should send that to me.
I will
that
send that
really
to
nice.
you.
Yeah.
I use it to put my wife to sleep all the time. Works 20 minutes, done. Boom, she on.
There we go. It works.
We have different strategies, but that works too. Does Koji Kondo also do the Breath of the Wild music?
I don't know. I honestly don't know a whole lot of the producers or anything. But my number one most favorite piece of video game music has to be Christopher... Oh, what's his name?
Paolini?
No, not Paolini. Not that guy.
Robin. Christopher Robin.
Christopher Robin's a cool guy.
I'm not going to remember the name. Baba Yetu from Civilization 4. Baba Yetu was the master theme of the game, and what it is it is the Lord's Prayer in Swahili.
Ooh, that's cool.
Wow.
It is a beautiful song. I've played it for Christopher Tin. Thank you, OlDanMack.
Man.
That was gonna bother me.
Now, if only I spoke Italian, I might be able to understand it.
I am a firm believer in the power of the Holy Spirit. And,
also, the power of Google Translate.
Yeah, exactly.
That too. So I'd heard this game from people streaming before, or I've heard this track, people opening up the game, and I just found myself enjoying it. The cadence and everything. There's like different shakers involved. a djembe.
Ooh, I have a djembe.
Djembes are the superior type of bongo.
That's the name of a character from One Piece. What's a djembe?
It sounds like
How do you
this.
spell it?
Wow.
That sounds
right.
like you just did that.
Wouldn't you know it?
Oh, that's what those are called? Okay, yeah, I know it. I know what that is. I didn't know what they were called a djembe, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you would never know it trying to spell it like it's, well.
Djembe.
But honestly, from there, hearing that song, I found two things tying into my other favorite songs that are very recognizable. I found a cover of Baba Yetu by Peter Hollins and Maluka. And Maluka was one of the first people to cover The Dragonborn Comes.
Ooh.
Wow.
She is a nice lady from Mexico City, and she has an amazing YouTube channel of different covers, a very haunting voice. She put the right amount of fade and reverb on her voice, and just sat there and played with her guitar, singing The Dragonborn Comes.
Actually, you know, I think I've heard that one before.
You probably
Yeah.
have, because it was on the front page of everything. Like, there are so many mod packs that feature her singing. It's amazing.
In the title
That's
screen.
awesome.
All right, so we are talking about the same person. Yeah, that is
Yes.
very iconic. Very iconic.
Yeah, my second most favorite song is The Dragonborn Comes, because of Maluka, not because of Jeremy Soule.
Man, imagine writing the song and getting dunked on by a folk artist. It's like, this is a
Could you
cover,
imagine?
and it's better than the original. Imagine
feel
having
like-
your most popular song be a cover. Wow.
I'm sorry, you
I
want to talk
Prevail.
about I Prevail and Blank Spaces? Heck yes!
Thank you.
Oh, I was going to go with Jimi Hendrix, but yeah, sure. Those guys too.
There was a point where Taylor Swift was protesting iTunes or Spotify.
Yeah.
Maybe both
Spotify.
of these at the same
all,
time.
all things.
That's right. Yeah, she just didn't want anything to do with digital media. And
She was
at
the
any
number
rate-
one paid artist that year that she did that. She made buco money.
So she could definitely afford to make that kind of decision, right? But it gave way to some really cool phenomenons on iTunes. People went looking for the album and instead got this amazing metal band called I Prevail covering Blank Spaces. And wouldn't you know, oh, Perfect Crying, Something Storm, keep you second guessing like, oh my God.
Yeah, there you go. They jokingly called themselves the Taylor Swift metal band because they did a few of her songs.
Yeah, so they were like, they got onto the top 10 chart because she did not put her album on iTunes.
Now that is it's a power move of the,
That's a flex.
like,
That's why
Wow.
but that's why she was the highest paid artist that year. Because she was, I don't know if she was off of iTunes, but she wasn't on streaming services. And because of that, people had to go buy her albums to listen to them. And she made tons of money off of it.
Valid strategy.
Yeah.
But if I think there's an important distinction in video game music, which leads into kind of another question of why some music in video games is so hard to remember. Like, we can talk about the Skyrim soundtrack, we can talk about the Zelda soundtracks and how iconic they are, Super Mario Brothers, Halo, etc. But there are some games that do not they just don't hold your attention the same way. They don't spark the memory of playing that game. listening to retro game music versus full orchestrated music. I don't know. What do you guys think about the differences in how game music has changed over time?
Man, well, I know for a fact that back in the day, back in my day, all the music was very unique because there were only like 30 games in existence, and it was kind of hard to copy each other. In the good old chiptune days. And so, if you were to go back and listen to all the music, all the video game music from like the 70s and 80s, if you grew up with them, you're gonna remember all of them. But for us, it's kind of a little bit more generalized, since people have discovered that playing the same style of music over and over generally gets the mood and flow of things going. Like,
Yeah, I think that the digital age has been pretty key into kind of this culture where we're not really paying attention to the music so much. Like kind of like what Polly said, like you have certain music that invokes the emotions that you want, and so it just kind of runs into everything. And there's just so much access to so many video games and so much music that it's hard. It really takes exceptional writing to do anything that stands above the rest.
yeah, I suppose needless to say, of any video game I've played in my life, there's never been a bad soundtrack. There have just been ones that shone like brighter stars than the others. Like, I can tell you the games that I don't necessarily remember the music for are like the Titanfall games and all first-person shooter music.
Playing the same generic rock music.
Yeah, it kind of just fades out in the back. It's not bad. Like, it's good. I'll listen to it, of course, because it's
but it's not
pretty
unique.
all right. Yeah, it's not interesting enough. It's not interesting enough for my refined musical taste. I only want to listen to jazz and electronic
Jazz.
Yeah.
Have you considered postmodern contemporary?
Needless to say, before I
jazz?
dunk on all the jazz musicians out there, like it takes a certain level of spunk to really, I guess, not go against the grain, but just make a whole new piece of project instead of taking the same old carpentry woodwork and doing the same thing. You make something that looks interesting, that everyone looks at and goes, "Well, gee, I hadn't seen that before," and all of a sudden, wow, you're famous.
I'll tell you a newer game whose soundtrack really stood out to me as being unique and original and just good was the Dishonored soundtrack, 1 and 2. They just do a really good job of setting the mood. Now, I think because of that, it's not a soundtrack that I'm just going to put on and listen to, but it certainly like puts you in this like weird in like post-industrial like magic age that the Dishonored franchise is in, and it really just does a good job of making you feel like you're there.
Man, sounds like a good time.
I highly recommend Dishonored and the sequel. They were both great.
Dishonored and re-honored.
Dishonored 2. Dishonored twice.
All right, calm down, Zuko.
My honor.
Wow.
Had to get the one Avatar reference in there.
At least one. Obligatory, you know.
Obligatory reminder: watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, not the movie.
And in 19 days, watch Avatar: Legend of Korra. So,
if
actually,
like
when
less than...
yeah,
if what?
Nothing. Polly, go. You were saying something, Polly. That was
when the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie came out. I remember one year it came out toward my birthday, and I said, "You know what? I want to watch that one." And I regretted that decision.
That same thing happened to a buddy of mine in high school. It was right around his birthday, and he was like, "Yeah, let's go see this."
Oof.
Bad decision. Big oof.
Yeah,
It's about as good as watching the Aragon movie.
Oh, don't get me started.
I enjoyed the way it looked. Like I was like, oh, it looks like a movie.
Yeah.
But
That
I think
certainly is a movie. It certainly does have music. Yep.
certainly 2.5
There's
hours
certainly a
long.
chord progression there.
Yeah, the chord progression may be more akin to Hillsong's Oceans than to Dragon Force Through the Fire and Flames, but it's certainly something. But and then the thing that really what in the
What in tarnation?
yeah, something just slaughtered itself in my garage. That's post podcast stuff that I'm gonna have to deal with. My air conditioner blew up or something like that. But it ended on a cliffhanger. That's what really got me. Was the last Airbender ended on a frickin' cliffhanger. And I said, you got me messed up, dude. We rented this off Redbox for $1 for this. Yeah, cliffhangers in movies are something that you should avoid. Like, I can't say the plague.
Like Vegemite?
Yeah.
I think
Vegemite's
if you're
pretty
going
okay
to do
sometimes.
that, there's certainly a time for when that's appropriate.
You better have
But
a
you-
sequel ready beforehand.
Right, yeah, like you better be like book 2 of a 4-book series that you're making into a movie, and it's like, yeah, everyone's
Like
already
an
into
actual
this.
plan.
Right, yeah. And if you're gonna make a good cliffhanger, don't make it Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. It's awful.
The book actually wasn't half bad. I quite enjoyed the book itself.
No, the book was good, yeah, but the movies, no.
Yeah, at least we knew that there was going to be a part 2. And since we had the book, we already know the end of it.
Or like The Hobbit and the Desolation of Smog, where they like decide
Man.
to make a whole movie out of a like 30-page chapter.
Yeah, the Hobbit films were confusing to me. I don't
Okay.
know why they... This is a tangent, isn't it?
It is. It is. But I tell
It
you
is
what,
perpendicular
Ed Sheeran
to the
saved,
radius of the circle, yes.
Did you say Ed Sheeran?
Ed Sheeran saved that movie. Because Icy Fire is a karaoke bomb of mine. And I tell you what, I went and saw that movie twice, specifically for that song in the credits.
Dang.
You should have
I might
just
actually have to go
like
see it.
bought the ticket and then showed up as the credits were rolling. You're like, oh,
Skip
yes.
the movie. I'm eating popcorn in the
Ah,
lobby
yes.
until the film.
I get to
starts.
hear this Ed Sheeran song in IMAX.
Actually, you know what? That's
Worth
the most
it.
understandable thing I've ever heard. Listening to music on big
$18.
high definition.
Oh yeah, no, $18
man.
just to go listen to 3 minutes of song. Hell yeah.
Yeah, if I could pay an IMAX theater $18 for a film length time to go in there and just play music,
Oh, man.
I would do it in a heartbeat, especially
Absolutely.
with Aperture Songs to Test
Oh,
By.
Sounds to Test By would be
There we go.
amazing.
And we've done it. We went full circle. Looped right
Which is
back to
good
the
because
I'm
we were
proud
just
of
on
us.
a tangent.
Wow. Amazing.
That was amazing.
Wow, what a ride, as they say.
In Italian and Latin.
They say it in a lot of places. A lot more than that. What about Spanish?
Ask
I
your
haven't
wife.
been to Spain.
You know? Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a fun topic, talking about music. Certainly we'll have to come back to it because there's always more to talk about. Music and sound design. We didn't even get to sound design. We didn't even get to retro games music.
And I didn't
So-
even talk about the fact that I went to the Legend of Zelda Orchestra in Kansas City.
Bruh.
Oh my gosh, you didn't get to that part?
No, I forgot about it.
Oh, mercy! Way to one-up me again.
Yeah, actually, we'll
Well,
have that
it's a
as
habit
the.
of mine.
We can have that as the post credits audio. You can talk
I
about all
love
that,
it.
and we'll sit here and we'll be like, "Wow,
Yes.
that's amazing."
It was phenomenal. It was. I went with a friend of mine, and we kind of went on a date. Just two dudes. It was a dude date, a bro date, and
Understandable.
because it was an orchestra, right? So like the coolest thing about going to it was that like he and I dressed up, and there was about the crowd was split 50-50. There was either people who were dressed up nice because they are going to an orchestra, and the people who cosplayed and just wore crazy Zelda paraphernalia. But that was a wonderful time. The music was beautiful, and it all went with captures of all of the games as they were playing through them. So it all went, they had the projector with the games playing up. It was phenomenal. The Zelda director, whose name escapes me right now, like the director of the game franchise, he like had some screen time where he was just like, "Hey, thanks for joining," and like, we're the most successful people ever, and it was just it was just phenomenal. When Skyward Sword came out, they released the 25th anniversary orchestra edition, and I listened to that a ton, and that only consisted of about a quarter or maybe a third of the music. So it was a bunch of original stuff that I had never heard before. And it was phenomenal.
That sounds fantastic.
It was. Thank you.
That's a great way to wrap up a podcast. Mercy.
Gosh. Got the goosies just thinking about it.
Got the goosies.
You have a goose?
Well, everybody, like Darman said, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to check out our Facebook group, CrossForge Gaming. Like, subscribe, YouTube, all the fun things. We've got Minecraft server, Rust server, and have a good night, unless it's morning, in which case, have a good day. Unless it's afternoon, in which case...
we get cut off.
Here, I'll serenade you all off in the key of B flat.
Where's that sound?
Oh, that one didn't work.
That was great. I think we lost Darman. So
No, I'm
I
still
think
here.
I think we're gonna end on your harmonica, so that's great.
Amen. Bless and good night.
Listen, buddy, it's the podcast. You come to me on the day of the podcast, and you don't even read the podcast question of the week. What are you even doing with your life? You see, we have a business to run here. We gotta get the recording. We gotta shuffle to the poly. The poly makes it down, and then we ship it to the consumer. But you come to me on the day of the podcast, and you don't even read the question. That's mighty disrespectful, sir.